When it comes to drawings, there can be a lot to manage, from keeping track of to updating, even making the drawings available. It can lead to a headache. But never fear, the SDS2 .Net API is here. And in today's video, we're going to explore how we can use the SDS2 API to tame our drawings. Without any further delay, let's get into it.
Just like members, to access our drawings from SDS2, we need to access the drawing handles. To do that, we first need to have an open job. Then, we need to say job.getDrawingHandles. Now, the getDrawingHandles method takes in an enumeration of drawing type. So it's table with drawings, and then there's about 11 different types of drawings, but I think your three main you'll be paying attention to are going to be detail sheet, erection sheet, and gather sheet. So for this example, we'll use detail sheet. And then this creates a drawing handle list. Okay, so now that we have our handle list, before we can actually access our drawings, we're going to need to add another using. So say using designdata.sds2.detail. Perfect. So now we can iterate over this drawing list to access each and every single one of our drawings individually. For each drawing handle, DH in drawings, we can say drawing D is equal to drawing dot get DH. Now that we have a drawing object, we can access any of the status properties like in shop date or erected date. We can also access the bill of materials for that drawing. Now, if you wanted to search through all of the drawings inside of the job, you could always do a for each table with drawings. We'll call this num, and enum get values type of table with drawings. Now this would allow you to then call each drawing handles list and you'd be able to search through all of them. But to get any one particular drawing, that's not incredibly a fast way to get there. So what we've done here is we've actually included two searching methods. Both of these drawing methods that I'm about to go over returns a drawing list. And the first one is drawing.find, and so you can pass in the table with drawings. We'll say erection sheet, and then you can say my drawing. So this is really great if you know exactly what drawing you're searching for. The other way returns a drawing list is to say drawing.find. You can pass in a piece mark and say major, and then you'll find all the drawings with that piece mark on it. So these are two more efficient ways of being able to find the drawings that you're going for instead of just searching through all of them by going through the enumeration. Alright, let's head back to our sample application. So to get started in our sample application, we're first going to want to create a new user control. So we'll say controls, add, new item, then we'll pick a WPF user control. We'll call this drawings. We'll hit enter. From here, we'll want to go to the code behind. So the very first thing we'll want to do is we are going to want to get a reference to a job handler. So we'll go ahead, we'll add our using. So using jobs.handlers. And then we will have our private job handler. Alright, now we need to initialize our handler. So we'll say handler equals job handler.getInstance. And then we'll want to register to our job changed event. So we'll say handler.jobChanged plus equals get drawings. So we'll need to create our get drawings method. So private void get drawings. In our get drawings method, we will want to gather all the drawings from our model for certain types of drawings. So the first thing we want to do is create a new model to hold this information. So we'll say models, add new item. We'll make sure that class is selected, and then we will say this will be a drawing category, and this will be a public class. So a drawing category will have a few properties. We're going to have a property for an integer that is an ID. We're also going to have a property that is a string that is name. Then we'll also have a property that will be a list of managed drawings. This will be our drawings. So the reason why we're keeping our drawings inside of a separate class is due to transactions and how you can't instantly modify a drawing. You have to create a transaction and save. This we'll be covering in a later video, so stay tuned and subscribe so you don't miss that video. Then we'll want to go ahead, we'll go back to our models, we'll create a new class called managed drawing. This will be a public class. Now we'll have several properties on this class. So our very first property is going to be an integer for ID. Then we will have a prop that is a string that will be name. Then we'll also need a drawing handle. So we'll need to add a new using for that. So we'll say using design data.sds2 database. We'll say prop drawing handle. Let's call this handle. Add our constructor for the class. So say public. So say public managed drawing. We'll take in an int ID, and then we'll take in a drawing. So drawing comes from the namespace using design data.sds2.detail. Here we'll say drawing. So we'll set up our properties. So we'll say ID is equal to ID. Then we'll say that name is equal to drawing.name. And then we'll also say that handle is equal to drawing.handle. Alright, perfect. Now there are several other properties that we want to manage on our drawing. So I'm just going to hit F12 on drawing, then I'm going to go to status and F12 here again. So then I'm just going to copy out these date times that our application cares about of managing. What I want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to add this back to here, and I want to delete out all the comments. Alright, so now that we have all the date times that we care about in our drawing managing application, we can go ahead and initialize them. So we'll say detail frozen date is equal to drawing.status.detail frozen date. Then we'll do erected date is equal to drawing.status.erected date. Okay, now that we have our managed drawing class all set up, we're good to go there. Now let's go back to our drawing category class. And we will want to add a constructor here too. Here we'll say public drawing category. And in our constructor, we can just initialize the drawings. Equal new list. So that way when we're adding to it later, we won't run into any null references. And so back to our drawings.xaml.cs class, so we have our get drawings. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is we'll want to add a new using. This will be to our project.models. From there, we will add a new temporary list for a drawing category. We'll call this temp. Now we will want to create a list of our table with drawings. So we're going to want to add a new using for that. So we'll say using designdata.sds2.database. And then we'll say table with drawings. These will be our enumerations that we care about for getting our drawings from. So we'll just call this drawing enums equals new drawing enum table with drawings. And then let's go ahead and just initialize this collection. What we want to add is a table with drawings. We want a detail sheet. Then we also want to add the table with drawing erection sheet. Lastly, we want to add our gather sheet. Okay. Of course, if you want to manage any other type of drawings, make sure you add those here. So now we'll say for each table with drawings, we'll say drawing enum in drawing enums. Now, just like in our lesson, we will have to now go and get all of our drawings. So we can say drawing handle list, drawing handles equals handler dot selected job dot get drawing handles, and then we'll pass in our drawing nim. Then we can now for each over the drawing handle in drawing handles. And the first thing we want to do is get a drawing handle from our temporary list to add this drawing to the collection of drawings. So we'll say drawing category DC equals temp dot first or default. Say x such that x dot name is equal to drawing enum dot toString. Then we want to check to see if DC is null. So if DC is null, we will want to add a new drawing category to our temp list. So we'll say temp dot add, say new drawing category. We'll just create an object initializer. We'll say that name is equal to drawing enum dot toString. We'll say that drawings is equal to a new list. We'll go ahead and also initialize that with a new managed drawing. Now, one thing that we neglected to do is to create an ID counter. So we'll say int ID counter is equal to 1. Here we will add our first ID, so we'll say ID counter plus plus, and then we'll say and add a using, say using design data.sds2.detail. And then let's go ahead and get rid of our media using, so we don't need that. And it'll just be causing collisions. And now we can say drawing.get, and then we'll pass in our handle. So then we can't forget our ID on our drawing category, so we'll say ID is equal to ID counter plus plus. So we just add the plus plus after the counter, so that way after we get the value of it, it will self-increment. If DC is not null, we'll say DC dot drawings dot add, and we will just steal this new managed drawing from up here and paste it in down there. Okay, so this is all looking really good so far. Now, the last thing we will want to do is let's just add a console write line, and let's just put it in temp here. So that way we can now test our code to make sure it's all working correctly. So what we'll want to do is we'll go back to our main window.xaml, and we have two grid rows here where we have our controls estimation of grid 1. What I want to do is add a tab control, then I'll put a tab item where its header is going to be estimation, and in this tab we will cut out our current estimation, paste that in there, then we'll take our grid row equals 1, put that up inside of our tab control, delete this white space here, and then we'll create another tab item. Its header will be drawings, and then we'll just say controls drawings. So now if we check, make sure we're running 64-bit, and we say run, and then let's just drop to the drawings tab. We see that there's no UI. We'll get to that in the next video. We'll change our drop down to our sample job, and we go to our drawing.xaml.cs. We forgot to set our breakpoint, of course, so we will close and we will restart. All right, we'll switch to drawings tab, drop down, select our sample app. We hit our breakpoint. Now if we look at our temporary collection, we'll see that we have 3 categories, which is what we expected: detail, erection, and gather sheet. So we look here, we got detail sheet, erection sheet, and our gather sheet. We'll see that we have 34 drawings in gather, 4 in erection, and 8 in detail. Alright, looks like our code's working perfectly.
While we took a fun adventure into the land of SDS2's drawings today, we still have a little bit more to cover. Next time, we'll be creating the user interface for our drawings. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.